there's been a lot of talk around whether Africa is rising or what happened. And I think that was a bit of a futile discussion around 2010, 2011, whether Africa was rising or falling or whatever. It followed a trajectory like many other economies and many other political economies around the world, especially those from Southeast Asia, Latin America, and all the rest. Economies won't rise in any straight line trajectory. There will not be a linear flow from linear movement from up and down. There will be some that will rise, some that will fall, and some that will just move by the wayside. It'll be a kind of one of these beeline movements that will just scatter around. And I think that was the first mistake. It was we didn't manage our expectations around that. Now going to the notion of political economy and the models that we followed. There are critics now that suggest that Africa's rising is over and the African boom period is over because Africa did not follow the same industrial policy process or the same industrial models that were followed in Southeast Asia. My response to that is usually, and there was a great article that was written by Rick Rowden in Foreign Policy recently around this point. But what Rick failed to actually touch on and perhaps understand in any great detail was the reason why industrial policy has not worked by and large in Africa is not because we didn't embrace this or we didn't take it on, and why it failed in Latin America as well. It was mostly, again, around institutions and politics. In Southeast Asia, and we use the example of Singapore as the best one thus far, that was the reason why industrial policy and why those countries were able to follow this planned process of industrial revolutions and why there were degrees of protectionism and all the rest of that in those economies that helped nurture infant industries. That type of industrialization will never take place in Africa because of the nature of the process here. It might take place in some examples across the continent, like Ethiopia, where they have a different type of political structure, or perhaps in Mauritius, which is today the most competitive economy on the African or off the African continent. But that's what we need to start looking at, is what we call, because of the variable geography on the continent, we have to take a variable geometry approach to understanding and approaching these various countries and these various political economies.
Excellent.